Hi guys, Kaza here. Welcome back. We're back with some more Hakuoki. Gonna learn a little bit more about Hijikata, hopefully with his beautiful purple eyes, and I can't wait. I would like to put a notice. Well, not really a notice. I don't know if you're gonna hear it because they're actually mowing the lawn outside. But if you hear it, I'm so sorry. I still want to record this. I'm gonna try and get rid of it, but if anyone hears any weird sounds, you now know what it is. I'm so sorry. But anyway, let's get going. Oh, and I probably forgot to mention, we're in, what was it, February 1864, I believe? Yeah, we're in chapter 1.2. That makes any sense. Yeah, that's a thing. I slid the door open, and a breath of cool morning air met me. Clumps of thick clouds trundled silently over the city, an unusually strong wind driving them along. Ooh, it's raining, isn't it? Huh. It's cold today. I shivered a bit and grabbed a jacket from near the door to wrap around myself. A week had passed since I began living in the headquarters of the Shinsengumi. They allowed me to roam around the compound as I pleased, and I was given a room of my own. They weren't the best accommodations, but given that they very nearly murdered me instead, I thought it best not to complain. Still, I looked down at my feet at the cold floor and sighed. Do I really need to dress like this all the time? Dress like what? They'd given me a place to live for the time being, but it hadn't been without conditions.
お前の身柄は新選組預かりとする。が、女として屯所へ置くわけにはいかねえ。
A Shinsengumi will look after you, but we can't have a woman running around our headquarters. As he explained, if rumors were to spread that the Shinsengumi were keeping a woman in their compound, tongues would begin to wag. It might even bring the people who were after my father to the Shinsengumi in search of me. Of course, they hadn't been able to determine whether or not he had even been attacked. He just went poof, he just disappeared. There were a great many questions left unanswered. We could ill afford any reckless decisions. Or so Hijikata had told me.
だから、お前には断層を続けてもらう。面倒だろうが、辛抱してくれ。
He's a ball of fun, isn't he? In other words, we need you to keep pretending to be a man. I doubt there's what you wanted to hear, but you do it or you're on your ass. Clear? I said ball fun, right? Tons of fun. Great. Sure. Yes. His reasoning was sound, but perhaps more than that, I knew he was looking out not only for the Shinsengumi, but also for the safety of my father and myself. I didn't have a choice, of course, but knowing that made following his orders at least somewhat more palatable.
たとえ君にその気がなくとも、女性の存在は体内の風紀を乱しかねませんしね。
I doubt you would do so intentionally, but the presence of a woman could, disrupt morale, so to speak. His tone suggested he was joking, but it was clear that he was telling the truth as well.
ですから、私たち幹部のほか、大使たちへも君の事情は話しません。
For that reason, we only, the Sensengumi's leadership, will know the truth of your situation. If word were to get out, there was no telling how fast the rumors could spread, or where to. I had to stay a boy. All right then, what should I do while I'm here?
屯所では何もしなくていい。部屋を一つやるから引きこもってろ。
Nothing. You're gonna get a room and you're gonna stay in it. Yes, I'm totally helpful. We're totally looking for my father that way. He's just one day gonna pop in my room and that's how we find him. I don't think so, but yeah.
あれおかしいな。この子、誰かさんの故障になるんじゃなかったですか？
For that, I thank you. Really? I could have sworn she was going to be someone's page. Namely yours, Hijikata. Namely yours. Hijikata turned to Okita and his eyes narrowed.
いいか、Souji。てめえは余計な口出しせずに黙ってろ。
Souji, keep that tongue in your mouth, or I'll fucking cut it thing off. Well then, alright. He is fun. At least he's interesting, I'll give him that. Before long, I had been there for a week. I guess I don't have much of a choice. For otherwise, of course, but I'll do what I have to. I wasn't sure what to make of it yet, but since I had been dressing like a boy, I'd grown rather used to the feel of wearing pants, and having the kodachi my father had given me always at my hip. He presented me with it when I was only a child and impressed upon me at least some sense of its importance. Sword! Supposedly, it had been in the Yukimura family for generations. As such, I was forced to take lessons in swordplay, so I knew which end was meant for the enemy, but I had never much cared for weapons. They hurt people, of course, and it was more than that, at least for me. As far back as I could remember, any wounds I suffered healed at an incredible rate. Small cuts would disappear overnight. As a child, I thought nothing of it, but as I grew older, I began to realize that was not quite normal. And when I asked my father, he told me that it was a gift from the gods, but that I should tell no one of it. I didn't tell anyone, of course. I was afraid they would treat me like a monster if they did. Ever since then, I had done my best not to get hurt. I stayed as far away from blades as I could, and before I realized it, I was rather afraid of them. Dressing as a man all the time was frustrating, as was carrying a sword, but it was my condition that worried me the most. Still, that wasn't the only thing on my mind. The rank and file soldiers have been treating me coldly. I'm not just imagining it, right? I had heard having a private room was a rare privilege, even for the captains. For a child to appear out of nowhere and to be given better treatment than their own captains, it was a little wonder if the soldiers resented me. True, I suppose I can't really blame them. Also, quite simply, I felt bad. I was enjoying the hospitality, such as it was, of the Shinsengumi, and so I felt I should help them in some way. But I knew nothing of soldiers and their ways. There wasn't much opportunity for me to learn either. Hijikata had instructed me to leave my room as little as possible. From time to time, the captains or other officers would send me to one errand or another, but it was nothing approaching a page. Most of the duties they gave me were things more suited for a maid than a soldier, and it made the rest of the men even more resentful for what appeared to be special treatment. They're just watching me. To make sure I kept my mouth shut, they took turns keeping watch over me. My mistakes could mean serious trouble for them, so they were doing their best to keep me away from the other soldiers. Then again, perhaps I was just a poor actor. The soldiers almost never spoke to me, but when they did, it was difficult for me to act manly. All too often, the captains had to step in to cover for me. Each time they did, it made it look as though I couldn't even manage to speak for myself, and I felt even worse. If I'm really going to stay here, I'd like to be friends with at least some of them. I can't exactly tell them the truth, can I? Indeed, I couldn't, and so I had no choice but to stay out of the way and keep to myself. It wasn't a pleasant existence, and I was beginning to feel depressed. If I'm supposed to stay out of the way, then I shouldn't be leaving my room, but I very much want to go look for my father. However, even after a week had passed, I was still not allowed to leave headquarters. I had come to Kyoto in search of my father, but for the time being, it seemed that the search had been stopped in its tracks. Perhaps, I thought, I could talk to Hijikata. If he would give me permission to look for my father. Oh, no. That's right. Hijikata had left on a trip to Osaka several days before. Perhaps I can sneak out while he's not here. I wasn't sure what to do. And my old choices have now appeared, which was talk to someone. It's kind of annoying me that it's doing this to me, too. It's like, I don't want to know what I did before. Because I had to redo it anyway, because the audio didn't record. And it also takes away my encyclopedia choices, and I have no idea how to reset them. I couldn't figure it out how, so. Since we're going for Hijikata, and he wanted me to stay in my room, though, I think we're going to stay put. Yeah, we're going to stay put. We shall obey the man. I have no idea what we're going to do from that, but who knows? We'll see. If I was honest, staying in the room was awfully boring. No, you need to follow Hijikata's orders, Chizuru. I shook my head to clear it and tried to forget about temptation. I didn't want to cause any more trouble than I already had. And consequences would not be good. That's where the room feeling somewhat forlorn. So apparently I'm making myself very boring. It was a very nice room, but it was almost completely empty. Not uncomfortable, per se, but not comfortable either, and there was nothing with which I might make the time pass. And here I thought I'd gotten used to doing nothing. My father's business had taken him out of the house frequently, sometimes for days at a time, and so I had spent a good deal of time home on my own. This isn't quite the same, though. Back then, I always knew he'd be back eventually. Waiting for someone you knew would return, and waiting for what you didn't quite know are two very different things. When will I be able to start looking for father again, I wonder? I let out another frustrated sigh.
探したぞ、雪村君。こんな部屋にいるとは思わなんだ。
Alright then. Yukimura, I've been looking for you. I didn't think you'd be here. Yeah, am I now Yukimura? Who's Yukimura? Kondo smiled brilliantly at me as he stepped into the room, a tray in one hand. I'm sorry? I wasn't sure of what to make of his words, so instead I gave him an awkward sort of bow. He stepped further into the room, still smiling. Vid paused and gave me an odd look.
いや、待てよ。もしや、ここが君の部屋なのか?
You're not sure? Wait a moment. Is this your room? How do you not know? You're the leader of them all. You don't know where they put me? Until then, I hadn't thought about it. But since they brought me in, this is the first time I'd seen Kondo. For now, yes. The moment the words were out of my mouth, his eyes went wide.
なんと、俺は女子の部屋に無断で立ち入ってしまったというわけか。
Oh no! I barged into a woman's room without announcing myself. I thought we were supposed to act like I'm a guy. Don't yell, women. Don't yell that in here. What the heck's wrong with you? No, it's fine. I just heard the rest of the room as he took a step back toward the door. After all, it isn't as though there's anything here I wouldn't want you to see. He still seemed unsure, so I beckoned for him to come back in.
都市の故障というからには、都市の隣部屋かと思っていたのだが。
We decided you'd be Toshi's page, so I assumed your room would be next to his. Hijikata had, of course, failed to tell Kondo I had yet to be made a page. I wasn't surprised. It wasn't too hard to see what was going on. I'm not really prepared to entertain, but you're welcome to come in if you like. An official invitation seemed to spell most of his concern, and his smile creased his face again.
いや、そうかしこまらんでくれ。君は我ら新選組の客人のようなものだからな。
Oh no, you needn't feel nervous around me. While you're here, you're a guest of the Shinsengumi. With that, he placed a tray on the floor between us. This is... As I looked down at the tray, I could barely stifle a sudden squeal of delighted excitement. Kondo coughed, doing his best to look nonchalant. What in the world did you bring?
甘いものは好きかね。茶菓子の棚にコンペイトーがあってな。
Do you, like sweets? I found some of these in the cupboard, and I thought, the leader goes through cupboards. I mean, he's a normal person too, but it still seems weird. I do. In fact, I like these especially. Some of the tension left his face and he grinned at me. On the plate, he arranged several colorful candies and a cup of warm green tea.
どうかね、雪村君。嫌いでなければぜひ食べてくれまいか。
So, what do you think? If you like to have some, go ahead. He looked right at me and smiled hopefully as if to say, I hope you like them. Thank you very much. I reached out cautiously and took one of the candies. It's gonna bite. Be careful. It had been a while since I had any sweets. Something about the small, colorful candies seemed so adorable that I couldn't help but smile. Kondo didn't laugh at my admittedly childish reaction. Instead, he just smiled warmly.
そういえば、まだ外出の許可は出ていないそうだな。
Oh, yes. I've heard you haven't been allowed to go outside. That's true. I could see his brows drawn together in concern. There's no point in rushing it, though. If I run off without their permission, I'd almost certainly cause problems for the men who had promised to help me. For the time being, I would simply have to be patient.
ああ見えて、トシは昔から他人に世話を焼かないでいられない将軍でな。
I know how he appears, but Toshi's the sort of man who can't help but care for others. Hijikata caring? That didn't seem right. Then again, I told myself, Kondo knows him much better than you.
ちょっと厳しいところがあるかもしれんが、今回の件も君を思ってのことだろう。
He may be a little strict with you, but only because he has your best interests at heart. Aw, thank you for letting me know that. That made a little more sense. I think if the commander doesn't think it's time for me to go out yet, then I trust him. I hadn't spent much time with him, but it wasn't hard to see that Hijikata was no fool. He was intimidating, of course, but he was a good person.
俺からもトシには言っておく。退屈だろうが、もうしばらく我慢してくれ。
I'll speak with Toshi. You're bored, I know, but I have to ask you to hang on a little longer. All right, thank you. He hadn't done much, to be honest, but Kondo's visit had cheered me greatly. I suppose I was rather easily pleased if an afternoon with warm tea was all it took to make me happy. Yeah, just a little. You're like, something to do, instead of staring at my feet.